Organizations use mailing lists to communicate with established groups of users using a single group address. A Google Groups address not only serves as a mailing list, but also enables users to share files and calendars, set permissions, and communicate using online discussion boards. There are two types of Google Groups within Workspace: Admin Console Groups and Google Groups for Business. Admin Console Groups may only be created by administrators through the Admin Console. Users can then use these groups for mailing lists as well as document and calendar sharing. While users cannot create Admin Console Groups, they may be given ownership privileges over groups once they're created and assigned to them. Admin Console Groups do not need to be activated on your domain, since only administrators can create them. Google Groups for Business allows users to create and manage their own groups without relying on IT staff or admin-level users. Groups share a collaborative inbox, allowing users to manage discussions and queries, and even respond to inquiries as a group. The group may be used for online discussion, with features including Q&A forums, searchable discussion archives, file attachments, response ranking, and message tagging. The availability of these features can be managed by the group owner under Group Settings. Groups for Business is a Google service that may be enabled or disabled from the Admin Console. To create a group from within the Admin Console, click Groups and then click Create Group. A dialog box appears where you can then add the group name, email address, description, and access level. Public groups may be joined by anyone in the domain, and all members can post, view membership, and read archives. A team group is like a public group, but only group managers may add members. An announcement-only group allows only managers to post and view members, but all members of the domain can freely join and read archives. A restricted group allows only group managers to invite new members, and only members of the group to post, view membership, or read archived messages. I'm going to create a team group. Since this is a group created within the organization's domain, I can specify whether or not I wish to grant anyone on the internet, as in people outside the domain, the ability to post messages to the group. This is only an option for team groups, since announcement-only and restricted groups restrict posting to owners and members respectively, and public groups may only include users in your domain. When you're ready, click Create to create the group. The search bar in the administrative dashboard automatically searches for both group and user account addresses, so if you know the exact or even approximate name of the group, you can search for it there. Generally, it may be helpful to establish a protocol within your domain for distinguishing users and groups, such as requiring a hyphen in all group addresses. If you conduct a search using the admin search bar, you will see that the icon to the left of each search result indicates whether the address is a group or an individual user. If you have not yet set up email for your domain, the Admin Console will prompt you for email setup. If you plan to use Gmail as your mail client, you'll want to make sure this process is complete. Much like adding a text or CNAME record during domain verification, setting up Gmail involves accessing your domain's host site and adding MX records to your DNS setting that will point your domain's email towards Google's mail servers. An MX record, or Mail Exchange Record, is a DNS entry that tells servers which mail server is responsible for accepting email messages on behalf of your domain. If you purchased your domain from a Google partner during Workspace signup, this has likely been done for you already. If not, let's take a look at an overview of that process. Before adjusting your DNS mail settings, you'll want to make sure that Gmail is turned on for your domain. From the Admin Console, go to Apps, and then make sure that Gmail is turned on for the whole domain, or at least for any organizational units you would like to use Gmail. You can then use Google's step-by-step setup wizard to complete Gmail setup. To add MX records to your domain host, you'll now need to log into your domain host control panel and access DNS settings. Google provides instructions for the various domain hosts in the Mail Setup Wizard. If you're not prompted to use the Gmail Setup Wizard, you can also click MX Setup Instructions from within the Gmail app area. Google provides several MX records, including a primary mail server, as well as several alternates should one not be available. You may have one or more MX records present already that will need to be deleted before you add Google's MX records. Add each of Google's MX records and save your changes. Google will then verify your settings and finish setting up Gmail. MX record changes may take up to 48 hours to take effect. The verification process will continue to fail until the MX records have propagated, and the admin console will continue to prompt you to finish setting up mail until it's complete. If you run into any difficulty during this process, Google support is there to help you get set up. Whether you're a business, educational institution, government institution, or nonprofit, you likely have valuable data in your Google Workspace account that must be kept secure. From the Workspace Admin console, you can perform administrative tasks for mobile devices, such as viewing the number of devices connecting to organizational accounts, viewing information about devices, setting password standards, remotely wiping data, managing applications, deploying apps, and much more. From the Workspace Admin home screen, click Devices to see an overview of devices operating within your domain. These are divided into 6 categories. Mobile devices includes phones and tablets. Endpoint devices refer to devices in your organization that have been registered to have their access monitored by administrators. Chrome devices running on the Google Chrome operating system include Chromebooks and Chromeboxes. Managed browsers are managed instances of the Chrome web browser. Google Meet hardware and Jamboard devices refer specifically to Google-branded meeting and display hardware. For this overview, we'll focus on mobile devices and Chrome devices, though additional information about Google's video conferencing options is available from links in the device management area. For a user's device to be managed on your domain, they must be logged in using your organization's Workspace account. If mobile management is enabled, users will be required to complete the device management setup process before the account can be available to the user on the device. The device will then enforce the policy settings set by a Workspace administrator. Just as you can restrict Workspace applications to specific groups on your domain, you may also choose to restrict mobile management features to specific groups of users. From the Device Management console, click Settings, then Universal Settings to set protocols for devices on your domain, as well as any of the subgroups that you've established within your organization. You may wish to set stronger settings for specific groups of users, such as those handling more sensitive information, or simply enforce uniform settings across your entire domain. You'll find these settings under Universal Settings and General. There are 3 options: Basic, Advanced, and Custom. Basic mobile management enables the bare minimum security management tools, which includes setting a lock screen policy and remote account wipe. Advanced adds management for business apps, full device wipe, and device management rules. The Custom option allows you to choose separate mobile management options for Android, iOS, and Google Sync devices. For example, you might opt for basic protection for Google Sync, but enable more aggressive protection for Android or iOS mobile devices. Regardless of your level of mobile management, you still retain the ability to disable certain apps such as Gmail or YouTube entirely on your domain using app management from the Workspace Admin console. Manage Mobile Devices enforces management setup before organization user accounts are available on the device. If you would prefer devices be approved by an admin first, return to the Universal Settings screen and select Device Approvals from under Security. Toggling on Require Admin Approval requires you to then set the email address of the admin who will approve the device activation. Device approvals will be held in queue and can be approved from the Device Approvals area under Device Management, or from an individual user's profile page in the admin console. Since the Android operating system is developed by Google, these devices allow for more detailed data and information to be gathered and managed by the Workspace administrator than iOS devices. As a result, there are more options available for managing them on your Workspace domain. To enable mobile management from the home screen, click Devices, then from the left sidebar, select Settings, Universal Settings, and then General. If you want to save yourself a few clicks, you could also type Mobile Management in the search bar. While I could choose Basic to enforce a few password controls, remote wipe, and device protection, I'm going to choose Advanced so I can see the full selection of mobile management options, including work profiles. Advanced management includes all the features of basic management, along with more stringent app controls and device hardware restrictions. With advanced management enabled, users must install the Device Policy app before they can add their organization's Google Workspace account. During installation, The app indicates to users what domain manages the device, what privileges the administrators have on the device, and when the device was last synced, as well as the location. The Device Policy app requires Android 5.0 and over. Full management features may be limited on older devices, if not unavailable entirely. It's also worth mentioning that only devices running Android 6.0 or later may be set as company-owned. These system requirements may change over time, so be sure to review the current system requirements in Google's documentation if you plan to rely on mobile management for your organization. If your organization has purchased and deployed devices for users on your domain, then Advanced Management gives Workspace administrators near total control over your device management. To simplify the setup of devices as company-owned, you may download a template to pre-input the serial numbers of company-owned devices. To do this, from the Device Management area of the Admin console, select Mobile Devices, and click the plus sign to add devices, then specify the type. From here, you have the option to download and fill out a template. Unless you have a policy preventing users from doing so, your users will likely have public Google accounts in addition to their organization's Workspace account, and they likely use their phones for personal as well as work-related use. To establish device management without infringing on personal use, you can also create work profiles using Android for Work. This feature, available on Android 5.0 and later, allows users to work within a managed area separate from your phone profile space. I'll use the breadcrumbs navigation to return to the devices screen, and this time I'll select Settings and then Android Settings. Here, you will see a list of all of your options for Android mobile management. From the Work Profile area, admins may enforce work profiles, disable them, or allow them for users to opt into voluntarily. The remaining areas under Android settings include numerous toggle options, most of which are only applicable to company-owned devices and work profiles. I do want to highlight a few options under the general settings that apply to all device configurations. Turning on Application Auditing allows administrators to search for the occurrence of specific installed apps in the mobile devices area of device management. There are also options for setting ramifications of devices that do not sync, as well as auto-wipe settings for devices that do not meet established security requirements. If you have concerns about users using multiple versions of the Android operating system and want a uniform experience, you may opt to only enforce available policies on old versions of Android. This will match the policies of the group to those available on the oldest version of Android on your domain. This is less of a concern if your organization owns and distributes its own mobile devices. iOS devices must be managed using Apple credentials. While applications such as Apple Mail may work with Google accounts, Google recommends using its native apps. In order to manage user accounts on iOS devices, a push certificate must be created by the administrator. Before beginning iOS push certificate setup, be sure Advanced Mobile Management is enabled under Devices, Universal Settings, General. Before you can enforce iOS device management, you must set up an iOS push certificate. Under the iOS settings area of device management, select Apple Certificates. My certificate has expired, so I'll select Set up New Certificate. From the Set up iOS Certificate page, download a Certificate Signing Request, or CSR file, which is required to download a signed certificate from Apple. Once the file is downloaded, follow the link to the Apple Push Certificate portal. You'll need to sign in with Apple credentials to create an Apple Push Certificate. The Apple Push Certificate portal will request the CSR file you downloaded from the Workspace Admin console in order to create a new push certificate. Once you've created a new push certificate, download the file, return to the Admin console, and check the box indicating you have an Apple Push certificate. Finally, select the certificate, indicate you've done so, and select Verify. Returning to the iOS settings area, you'll find many of the same options as Android configuration, only customized for the iOS operating system. Just as with Android devices, the organizations list in the sidebar allows you to set options for your entire domain or for specific sub-organizations. Lock screen options allow you to customize what displays on the lock screen. Note that settings for iOS-specific applications like Photos and Safari are handled separately. Under Account Configurations, you can enable automatic configuration for the iOS user's Google account, calendar, and contacts, respectively, upon sign-in with the organization's Workspace account. Under Backup and iCloud Sync, you have the option to enable or disable iCloud backup, document and data synchronization, and keychain, and also opt whether or not to force backup encryption. Lastly, advanced security includes settings for screen capture, Siri, Apple Watch, and handoff. While some security settings, such as Remote Auto Wipe and Lock Screen, are covered in the corresponding iOS and Android settings areas, there are additional global security settings for mobile management. Password strength settings may be established for both your domain as a whole or customized to meet requirements for certain groups within your organization. To view or modify password policies, from the universal settings of device management, select General, then Password Requirements, or search for it in the search bar of the admin console. The column to the left of the password policy box indicates the organizational unit you're viewing. Once you've selected the desired organization or sub-organization, be sure that Require Users to Set a Password is checked, and choose a password strength level to apply to this group. Standard or strong password strength levels allow for more customized settings, including character minimum, expiration settings, and allowed failures before device wipe. Detailed security options can be found in the Security section of Universal Settings. Note that enforcing these settings requires advanced device management to be enabled. At the top, Inactive Company-Owned Devices generates a monthly report of inactive company devices to super administrators. Setting Allow Camera to Off disables the camera on an Android or iOS device. Device Approvals requires admin approval before users can install their Workspace account on their device. Require Device Encryption forces an encryption-enabled Android device to use encryption. Finally, Compromised Devices blocks syncing from devices such as those using unlocked bootloaders, custom ROMs that replace the factory firmware, or jailbroken iOS devices. Keep in mind that blocking jailbroken devices will require iOS users to install the Google Device Policy app. Additional security settings, formerly found in the Security section, are now found in the Android or iOS settings areas. These include lock screen features such as allowing notification details on lock screen, as well as lock screen widgets. Your choices here will depend on your organization's security needs. It may be desirable to hide notification details or widgets, which could potentially contain sensitive information and details. As a security measure, Auto Account Wipe enables the potential wiping of managed devices that do not sync after an established number of days, which may indicate that it is lost or stolen. The Device Policy app prompts the user to reconnect to the internet and sync data before performing account removal. Additionally, you may decide to allow users to initiate a remote device wipe from their My Devices page at www.google.com/apps/mydevices. This can also be done by an administrator from the user page, which will be covered in the next chapter. Once you've established your management settings, users may begin to set up their individual devices. As a Workspace administrator, you may view each user's device information, such as the number of devices used, the device model, operating system version, and sync information. The device information can be accessed from both an individual user's profile and the device management area. You can pull up a user profile by either searching for them by name in the search bar or browsing the list of users in the users area. From their profile, scroll down to view the number of devices assigned to the user. If 0 devices are listed, the user has not set up their mobile device to access the organization account. Device approval is pending, or device approval information is not yet available. Information such as the username, email, device model, operating system version, last sync day, and status are immediately visible. I'll click the device to view the full information available. More detailed information is available from this screen, including the device ID and serial number. Encryption status, compromise status, and a list of potentially harmful applications. If your device management settings require devices to be approved by an administrator, this can be done under Device Management, Device Approvals. From here, you can approve a device or reapprove it if the device has been manually blocked. Likewise, you may also remotely block or wipe approved devices from this area as well. Two different wipe options are available. Wipe Device Completely wipes the device, deleting all information, apps, and settings. Wipe Account will simply remove the user's organization account from the device without touching other accounts or application data. Delete Device removes the administrative record of the device. This is a way of refreshing the device information, which happens upon the next device data sync. The next time the device syncs, it will be treated